Asa, dudes, it is your boy Bulletproof Gatsby back at it once again, and today we're going to talk about Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. This is a talk I wasn't initially going to do, but I had a lot of hype for the new Mortal Kombat Legends movie, which actually comes out today. I actually pre-ordered it from Amazon, but it's not going to be here till the 10th, so I kind of don't know what that's about. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this will be the first movie I've ever talked about, ever reviewed, without doing a reaction to the trailer. Before we dive into spoilers, the spoiler-free thing I have to say is, for the most part, it's a Mortal Kombat movie. If you wanted to come in for a bloody good time, you're definitely going to get that. You're definitely going to get that. My biggest discrepancies are with lore changes and how they treat specific characters that it just bugged me a little bit, you know what I mean? But my first time watching it, having extremely low expectations for it, I really enjoyed myself. Scorpion being one of my favorite characters, they do Scorpion really good in this movie. It's everybody else, some people I think personally get the shaft, and we're going to talk all about that here right now. Full spoilers for this whole movie. We're going to talk about it pretty extensively. Are we going to do it again? I think we're going to do it again. Marker? So we start this movie off, a nice little Daffy Duck intro. I don't know why I talk about the intro credits a lot, but I really appreciate whenever you see a logo of a major conglomerate or whatever, it's kind of usually always the same thing. Only certain movies do a variation to it or anything like that. Do you guys remember Small Soldiers with the toys that became self-aware and bullshit? I'm pretty sure in their DreamWorks logo, you had the toys climbing up and then picking up that, because it's the kid fishing or whatever. They climbed up and threw that fucking kid off, and I was petrified by no, the DreamWorks kid, no. But anyway, yeah, they do the same thing with this. You have Daffy Duck jumping around because WB animation, right? And then Scorpion grabs Daffy Duck, gives him a, a get over here, and then pulls him into the logo. That's cool. I like variations on company logos like that. I don't know why I enjoy it so much, but alas, I do. So from there, we zoom in on a literal Scorpion fighting a bunch of ants, and it's Hanzo Asashi, Scorpion, and his son Satoshi, and they're talking about how the Scorpion's gonna win, and he's gonna win John Wick style through sheer fucking will. He's going to win. So he has a nice heartwarming discussion with his son, really hamming up the fact that they're all about to die, because they go back to town. Of course, the Lin Kuei has ambushed them and they killed everybody in town, and it's just Scorpion and his son left, right? So he starts slicing people up. Even Satoshi gets a bite in on one of them, which I think is the most we've ever seen of his son. In MK 2011 or 2021, he acts tough or whatever, but I don't know. I like the fact that even though he's about to die, they give him what he can. They give him what they can, to make him look a little bit better. But Scorpion is just slicing and dicing Lin Kuei warriors, and it's visually, everything animation-wise in this movie is really beautiful. It really is. It's great animation, if I do say so myself. And I'm not even really a big anime fan. There's a couple anime shows that I like of course, Dragon Ball Z and stuff. I love that, but kind of dipping out of that really isn't my forte. But I gotta say, I love the animation of this. Castlevania was another one that was a really good anime as well. But the true chunkage doesn't really begin until Scorpion sees that his wife is also dead. We already knew everybody in town was dead, but once he saw that his wife was dead, his eyes go red, the screen color goes red, he just goes into a bloodlust. And that's when you see some of these kills, and even though it's animation, even though it's not real, you're still ooh, you know what I mean? Which I love to see in a Mortal Kombat movie. I wanna be wowed, and it definitely gave me that. It brings back the X-rays from MK9 and MKX. It's a really good it's a good Mortal Kombat movie in the fact that they do a lot of things to be huh? You see that? So of course, even though Scorpion's killing all the Lin Kuei guys, he finally bumps into Sub-Zero, who has his kid, who kills his kid right in front of him, and then he kills Scorpion with another little X-ray attack. And this one was a lot more savage Like, even though the story is all the same, this is the most savage I've seen this story depicted. Like, how they did it, like, you know, like Scorpion, like, knelt down and, like, threw his sword down just so he wouldn't hurt his kid. And then he kills the kid anyway, and then kills him, and it's like... boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So from there, we're introduced to our big three. We meet Liu Kang, who's meditating, and then Raiden comes up, like, out of nowhere, like, attacks him, and, you know, Liu Kang's got a little fucking Texas two-step for him, you know what I mean? He's able to catch him off guard, which kind of reminds me of, like, MK11, and how Liu Kang and Raiden have had fights over a millennia, you know what I mean? I thought that was kind of cool. Then we meet Johnny Cage, who's at his house, and, you know, there's a girl yelling at him for something he probably deserves, honestly. And then, you know, his house is just like there's just shit everywhere. It's like just a giant pigsty. It'd be like that sometimes. But one of the things we actually see is, even in this movie, Ninja Mime, the movie that we've seen in the background on these posters for a shitload of games, Ninja Mime is still a thing in this universe, and that's one of those little things as well that makes me happy. It makes me happy to see that, you know what I mean? Because there's one thing you can't accuse this movie of. Can't say that they didn't try to make the fans smile, because they definitely made me smile more than once. So he gets a call and he's like, hey, this will help with your credentials. People will think you're legit if you do this thing. So just do this thing real quick. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do this thing, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm back on top, whatever. So then we finally meet Sonya, and then she's fighting in the streets, and she's fighting the Cannibal King from The Dark Knight Returns. Like, literally, you give him some, like, spiky teeth, the spike necklace, and the goggles shit that he wears. It's the same character sprite. It really is. He's getting his licks in, and he gets the best of her at one point, and then, you know, she has this moment, like, she remembers a bunch of other stuff, kind of like reminiscent of, like, the Captain Marvel stuff, where she had, like, her flashbacks or whatever, and then she gets up and whoops his ass. And you almost feel bad for the guy, because at one point he's like, you knocked out all my fucking teeth, man. And then she's like, you know what'll help with that? A fucking axe kick to the face, and he just knocks the rest of his teeth out in his face. She caved in his fucking face with her heel. Whew. Pretty rough, but a great fight scene nevertheless. A great fight scene. So then we zoom in over to Scorpion being in hell, having a grand old time, and there's like a lot of body horror stuff, a lot more than I thought. He's like stabbed up, like, you know, hanging up by chains, and even though it's an animation, that's one thing that I don't know, it's always like got to me or whatever. So I don't know if it's Moloch specifically from like Deadly Alliance, but an Oni comes up, you know, he's talking shit, talking about, like, you see that palace over there, that's Shinnok's palace, that's the only hope there is, and you ain't getting there. Bet. So, you know, Scorpion pulls a Mike Tyson, bites off the dude's ear, who has lava blood or some shit like that, bites the dude's ear off, slings blood on the chains, gets free, you know, kills that guy, and then sees a whole army of demons and just starts whooping all these demons. And then you know, we get to the palace and we see like a crow like eating an eyeball, which to me I think is a Mortal Kombat Armageddon reference, because that's how that starts, as a crow's eating like somebody's like dead body. Anyway, we get up to the palace. Shinnok isn't there, it's Quan Chi, and Scorpion shows up looking like Homelander from the season 2 finale of The Boys, just covered. Gross. So he tries, you know, stun on Quan Chi. That doesn't really work. He does like wasn't a Quan Chi fatality, but it was someone's fatality, maybe Kenchi's or Ermac's, where they like just twist their body up, and that always kind of hurts too, because you can really hear like the crunchage. Oof, good stuff. Good stuff that makes you wince. So they come to an agreement, you know, get me Shinnok's key so I can get Shinnok out, which is the plot for Mortal Kombat 4 and Mortal Kombat X. Help me get Shinnok's key in the Mortal Kombat tournament, and then we good. I'll give you whatever you want. So they come to this arrangement, and then officially from here on out in the movie, he is Scorpion. It's Raiden. Hey, I'm recording a YouTube video. Say hi to chat. Be sure to turn your phone on vibrate when you start recording. just FYI. So our characters get on the boat and head to Shang Tsung's island. It's very reminiscent of Mortal Kombat, you know, the 1995 version. It pretty much plays the same way. You still get the same joke of like Johnny Cage and all his luggage. You know, Raiden feels a lot more stoic than he's been in other movies. A lot more straight-laced, straightforward. And he, you know, tells them everything that they need to know. Johnny Cage is still like doesn't get it. He's like, did you guys get a script or something? Like, what the hell's going on here? I do love that they play with that, you know, so much. So once they actually get to Shang Tsung's island, they come into this room and you see all these characters. Like, some of them are arm wrestling, dudes ripping like arms off and shit. You actually get to see Natara for a second, and Shang Tsung does the same whole spiel of where he goes over you know, the origins of Mortal Kombat, shows like young Shang Tsung, like back, like I think it even implies, like, the implication is like he's still like originally, like the original story was, he was an Earthrealm fighter. He fought on behalf of Earthrealm, got caught cheating, got disqualified. Then, you know, Shao Kahn and, you know, the other Outworld cronies, like, you know, took him in, showed him like the powers of necromancy or like dark magic or whatever, and then appointed him, you know, champion of Mortal Kombat on their side. And then it still shows the Great Kung Lao. The Great Kung Lao still wins against Shang Tsung, I believe. Doesn't specify, but that's the implication. And because they didn't get into it like too specifically, I'm sure like they're not trying to change that aspect of it. So Shang Tsung, you know, wins a bunch of Mortal Kombat tournaments, loses to the Great Kung Lao. Goro still comes in, you know, fucks Kung Lao up. And then here we are 9 tournaments later at the 10th tournament. Whew. So of course, instead of Sub-Zero and, you know, just another guy, you know, doing like a little fight scrimmage or whatever right in the middle of the dining hall, they have Goro and Jax. And at first, excuse me, and Goro versus Jax was a good fight. He did a little bit better than Art Lean did, I'll tell you that. But Jax still takes the L. And in this universe of Mortal Kombat, this is how Jax loses his arms. Which, remember, originally in the original lore, it was Ermac that blew up Jax's arms. In this one, it is Goro ripping his arms off, and they do that X-ray effect, and oh my gosh, it's crunchy and juicy. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I like that better or I like MK 2021's version of how Jax loses his arms. Probably the 2021 version, to be completely honest. But this one right here kind of made me a little bit more okay with that one. You know what I'm saying? Because at first I didn't like this. You know, I'm like, why would you change that? Why would you change how he loses his arms? But then, you know, I'm just kind of like, at least they're doing something different. They're trying to tell the same initial Mortal Kombat tournament story, but tell it in a different way with different details. So at first I didn't like it, but I can still appreciate the scene. It's a good scene. While all that is going on, Scorpion goes to steal Shinnok's key. Raiden's like, there's always a choice, Scorpion, giving him whatever kind of like dialogue he needs to make sure like Scorpion becomes a good guy by the end of the movie. You know what I mean? So from there, Mortal Kombat begins, and all of the fighters get teleported across the island, and then we start getting our fights for the tournament, which Gordo and Jax was not part of the tournament. That was just an exhibition ass beat, which was, like I said, kind of hard to watch. That was another one of those moments when his arms got pulled off. He was like, yeesh. It was cool, but damn. So I think our first fight is Johnny Cage versus Baraka, and did not like this fight. One bit. He was running from Baraka the whole time, and then Baraka dies to like stage damage. You know what I mean? He got an environmental death. And like, it is kind of funny that, you know, like Johnny Cage jumped off with like the double middle fingers, but that wasn't good enough for me because I didn't like it. So from there, we go to Sonya versus Reptile, and you know, this fight was a little bit better, but it was another one of those instances where like, kind of like with the Baraka and Johnny Cage fight, like Sonya like definitely fought and like definitely like got the W, no doubt, but it's like he was invisible, just like punching her and shit. Like he could have been invisible, just like spit a bunch of acid like on top of her head, and she's dead, but he didn't do that. So Reptile gets his ass beat, gets his head chopped off with a piano wire, which was definitely cool. That was a way cooler death than what Baraka got, I'll tell you that. But it's still like, Reptile already kind of like, neither one of those fights, which I wouldn't even call the Johnny Cage one a fight, neither one of those were very long. Like, they just kind of get like axed pretty quick. Like, here's my powers, now kill me. You know what I mean? So I feel like Baraka and Reptile kind of did a little dirty. But what are you gonna do? One good thing about both of those fights is I'm pretty sure at one point or another Johnny Cage goes toasty, so that's pretty cool. And then the Sonya fight with Reptile actually has his Mortal Kombat X design, and I do dig that. I do dig that design. And she even has like a little quip at the end, just like a 80s action hero, like, you mess with the blade, you're gonna get cut. And it's like, I hate that line. I love that line. So from there, we have Liu Kang, and he's fighting Katana, just like in the 1995 version. She definitely doesn't give him any hints on his future fights. She's kind of got her tube pants on, to be completely honest. But, you know, Liu Kang gets the better of her, knocks her down. He's like, I'm not going to kill you, you know, whatever. And, so, you know, she gets up, she yields. She's like, you know, whatever, fuck you. And it's like, oh, you're going to fall in love with him here in a couple movies, couple games. Just wait, just wait. So then, you know, you got Raiden and Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. They're all dick measuring each other, you know what I mean? And then Shang Tsung announces that there's like an entire Black Dragon army coming on to the island. And it's like, even Raiden's like, what? Why the fuck would they be doing that? It's like, they can't do anything. What's the point of it? It's like, oh, they're not part of the tournament. And it's like, same problem I had with, you know, MK 2011. It's like, there are rules. Like, I get rules are meant to be broken, but like, there are rules. Follow your own rules. It bugged me. I get that there needs to be a soulless, faceless army for our heroes to kill. I get that, but in that instance, I was kind of like, why? So of course, all of our heroes regroup. Liu Kang like finally explain, like, Johnny Cage is a believer now. Liu Kang explains everything, the rules of Mortal Kombat to Johnny Cage. They bump into Scorpion at one point. They almost throw down, and Johnny Cage is actually the voice of reason. He's like, nobody like declared Mortal Kombat. You didn't declare it. You didn't. Nobody declared it. So we're good. We do not have to fight right now. So they just chill out by the campfire, and then they like, for some reason, start shitting on Scorpion, like, you don't know what it is to love somebody. It's like, yeah, talk shit to this guy that you like throws a spear around and, you know, is really good with fire. I mean, I guess Liu Kang's good with fire too, but still, why'd you try and fuck with somebody like that you're like planning on going to sleep around? Like, not the bestest of ideas. Johnny Cage gets another swift dick kick, and then we finally find the big, you know, Black Dragon army. The big three, you know, they all fight him. Scorpion fights him too, but he's in disguise at first. So like, they, you know, they have him surrounded, and Scorpion just comes out, and one of their suits just starts killing people, and they all just start whooping wholesale ass. Everyone but Johnny Cage, oddly enough. I don't know, everyone else is throwing lefts and throwing kicks and stuff, but because they have guns, Johnny Cage just kind of stays out of it. I don't know. I didn't like that either. I feel like they're kind of shitting on Johnny a little bit. Kind of shitting on him a little bit. I mean, he is a dick, don't get me wrong, but I feel like they're kind of shitting on him a little bit. So, you know, Liu Kang does some stuff. He gets the bicycle kick in. He does like the Shaolin soccer thing. That's pretty cool. These guys really don't stand a chance. They just kind of mow through everybody, and then you actually see Sub-Zero, and Scorpion sees Sub-Zero, but Sub-Zero, you know, shows up, and he looks at Kano, and like, even though he's on the side of Outworld and he wants Outworld to win, he also realizes that there are rules for the tournament. And Sub-Zero like looks at Kano. He's like, piece of shit. Like, what are you doing? Like, you can't be doing this. This is Mortal Kombat. What are you doing? Like, hey, the fuck out of here. Scorpion and Sub-Zero finally fight, and Scorpion's saying all this like crazy shit that you'd expect him to say, and Sub-Zero's like, who are you? Who are you again? And, you know, Scorpion just tackles Sub-Zero, you know, right off the top of the pit. lands right onto the spikes, and I gotta say, I did really enjoy that. He didn't care that he lost his mission, like, didn't care. He's like, you're going down into these spikes. I'm probably coming with you, but you were totally going down into these spikes right now. So I did enjoy that. You know, they both fall, they both get impaled on the freaking thing. After he gets impaled and after he's done out for the count, you know, Quan Chi for some reason comes up and he's like, hey, you bitch. Guess what? It was me the whole time. He, you know, took place of Sub-Zero, which I never knew he could shapeshift like Shang Tsung could, but whatever. So he does that, fakes being Sub-Zero, convinces the Lin Kuei army to go out and kill everybody, and yeah, starts this whole blood feud off to begin with. Call back to the Scorpion at the very beginning of the movie, fighting all the ants, and he's like, sheer fucking will, John Wick style. And Scorpion gets up, gets revitalized or whatever. So while that's going on, Sonya's trying to save Jax from Kano. And there's a bunch of Oni and demons and all different kind of monsters in the way. They're kind of too much for any one person to handle, so once Johnny comes in, even gets the here's Johnny. You know, they did that in the MKX or MK11 fatality, which is of course a callback to The Shining. He gets that little line in, and they both just start whooping wholesale ass. It was too much for any one person, but both of them together wasn't shit. So they actually beat all the monsters, they catch up to Kano, they knock him down, they get Jax up, and before Jax leaves, I did like this. He's like, you know, one more thing, just real quick. Curb stomps Kano. You can hear the or whatever. It's gross. So from there, we're back with Shang Tsung and Raiden and Quan Chi. Quan Chi even do this little thing where like Quan Chi tries to poison Shang Tsung, and he like sees right through it. I don't know why they did that. That was kind of silly. Like, he poured it out and it was green. It's like the wine was red, and he just looks down and just sees a green, like his liquid's green. He's like, that ain't fucking right. Like, you thought you were gonna get away with that, really? Anyway, so Liu Kang fights Goro for the final combat, or at least so we think. So they fight, and then Liu Kang's kind of getting his ass beat. He's doing good, and he's beating up Goro too, but sooner or later Goro gets the better of him. And Goro, you think, is about to pull out Liu Kang's arms just like he did to Jax earlier, and then out of nowhere, Scorpion shows up, saving the day, ripping Goro's fucking head off his body. I didn't actually like that one. The way his like face stayed on his body, I didn't like that. What? Since Scorpion killed Goro, Shang Tsung decides to make Scorpion the champion of Outworld and has Scorpion fight Liu Kang. And he says, you know, kill Liu Kang and I'll give you like your heart's desire or whatever. And then, you know, Raiden says his couple lines of like, you can be better or whatever. And lo and behold, Scorpion listens, and instead of killing Liu Kang, you know, gets behind, you know, Shang Tsung with his spear, tells Liu Kang that he yields, forfeiting Mortal Kombat. So Earthrealm wins. That's how Earthrealm wins in this movie, which, okay, and then gets the Shinnok's key from Shang Tsung, so fulfilling his end of the bargain with Quan Chi. So Shang Tsung's really pissed, but nevertheless, the tournament's over. He lost. He goes to do some stuff, and then Raiden's like, you better leave. The tournament's over. I can fuck you up now. So he leaves, and then the final fight of this game, like the island starts to crumble. Everybody leaves. Everybody gets back on the boat. Scorpion and Quan Chi, however, have unfinished business, and that is our final fight of the movie. And I gotta say, this is probably my favorite fight. Like, my favorite one-on-one fight, at least, in the entire movie. You know, they go back and forth, they both get their licks in, they do some hand-to-hand stuff, and they both get out their swords. That's really cool. And then they've been saving it. They did it in the intro of the movie, but they have been saving it for this moment. Scorpion finally gets to say it in character in the movie. His famous catchphrase. Bring that ass here, boy. Or, sorry, no, get over here, or whatever it is, right? Brings him over. Does the spine rip, which is Sub-Zero's fatality, and then does the toasty. That was such a satisfying ending to that fight. It truly was. I was like that meme where the guy's like, that was me. That was me at that moment, because I did really appreciate that. So of course Liu Kang is like super bummed out. He's like, dude, I just, you know, got my ass whooped. And then Raiden says, you were never meant to beat Goro. Technically your destiny is to just beat Shao Kahn. That is your destiny. And that's perfectly setting us up for the sequel, Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms. We actually do see a little snippet of Shao Kahn beating the shit out of Shang Tsung. And he's like, all right, where that sequel at? I'll be all up in its guts. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys tonight. Like I said, overall, I did like the movie. For a Mortal Kombat movie, for a movie to shut your brain off, I did actually enjoy it, because I do really care about lore and stuff like that. I'm okay with some stuff. Other stuff kinda bugs me a little bit. But beyond that, it's a good movie. And if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, I recommend it. If you're an anime fan, I recommend it. I recommend this movie. Like I said, for someone that doesn't know as much as I do, any other Mortal Kombat fan that's as big of a fan as me has probably seen this movie. So the best I can do is say, if you're not a huge Mortal Kombat fan, some of the stuff that they change won't even like register for you. So I think you'll still really be able to enjoy this. Of course, we will be expecting the sequel review here soon. I don't know when, whenever I can get it. And it's not going to be here, according to Amazon, for another week and a half. Might have to do something about that, but we'll see. And of course, the Suicide Squad video is coming, so please stay tuned for that. It's going to come out eventually. But regardless, thank you all so much for watching. You, yes, you that made it to the end of this video. I want to say I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And, yeah. Hope you all have a great night. Deuces.